Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
2, 1.
Vinyl Tap.
I'm
Tim.
Tim. And this month on Vinyl Tap, we discuss the theme of Japan. That was our theme.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
That's what we did this month.
Bye.
It was Japan.
See ya. Yeah. Did you guess it? You probably didn't, because it was really difficult. Like, we all chose Japanese albums. I mean, what possibly could have the theme have been?
Jazz fusion. And Jason
Actually,
just failed terribly.
Typical.
Yeah, so how did everyone go? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Japan's cool.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Wow, what's wrong with you?
A lot.
Okay.
No, it was really, really cool.
I feel like I've learnt something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that something?
So, hey, I don't know anything about Japanese music. That's pretty clear to me. But I feel like I think we got a nice slice of Japanese music culture.
3 very different genres, but also like you can see something
Yeah.
that links them culturally.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is super
The
cool.
Japanese language.
That'd be it, yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be it. No, I think there's something...
Except there was only one song with vocals on the T-Square album, and it was in English.
True.
So,
But they were all...
Shut up.
No, not all, but they were named Japanese
yeah.
characters.
Anyway, you were actually saying something?
Yeah, it was. So I think that you could almost say that fusion jazz is the thing that ties them all together. Or just jazz in general ties it.
If Ningen Isu fit fusion jazz.
Okay, yeah, no, maybe
Yeah,
you're right.
I don't see that at all.
I take that entire statement
Just
back.
trying to prop up my album.
It seems to me, though, that the heavy metal that was imported from the West, the Black Sabbath that became Ningen Isu in Japan, and the jazz fusion that got imported from the West, the Chick Corea that became T-Square, and then later evolved, or as you say, didn't evolve into ZUTOMAYO, those are both 70s genres.
Yeah.
So, am I onto something here in, there was a specific part of Western music that was, imported to Japan and they, ran with that in their own direction?
Probably.
Or am I making shit up and they do shit from all kinds of... Probably.
I mean, probably
Yeah,
both,
probably.
right?
Maybe it's just a
Because,
coincidence that we picked these albums that exhibit that.
as far as I'm aware, speaking about Ningen Isu, because I don't know about the others, but I'm pretty sure they were one of the first, that style of music in Japan. And I
Makes
apologise if I'm horrendously wrong on that. But
No, they've been around for a long time, haven't they?
they've been around since 1990. So, not a huge,
It stands to reason someone could have been doing it earlier.
It does,
Yeah.
but also it would have to have spread from England and America to Japan.
Yeah.
And I don't know if or when that. I mean, obviously it did happen, but I don't know when that happened.
Yeah, interesting.
How much... 1990, I mean, is the internet and music sharing a big thing
No.
by then?
No,
So,
Napster wasn't until 97.
97, okay.
And before that, I think it's all traditional press, word of mouth.
I mean, you have message
Finding
boards,
finding
but
record
they're,
stores and
they're not
stuff.
a cultural phenomenon like they became in the 2000s. They were a niche thing for weirdos. Sorry, weirdos.
No, that's me. Yeah, I don't think that it's not like today where something is released and it's just available in whatever region people want it to be available in, and for it to be accessible and influence other people. It's very much either what you come across, what you find about through your friends, or what the media and news outlets are willing to show you and let you listen to.
I think that Ningen Isu is more similar to the genre that it's a part of. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more just similar, heavy I don't know, what is it, black metal, just heavy metal?
Heavy metal.
It's just heavy metal.
Yeah.
And you could put that side by side with other heavy metal bands and it would fit. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's like really characteristically Japanese. But
there are a few elements
there's a few elements
that would
but,
set it aside from Black Sabbath and other bands.
But those I don't know necessarily would be attributed to them being Japanese, though. It
Ooh.
could just be stylistic.
Well,
There were some specific percussion elements that I was like, okay, that's, if not Japanese, East Asian in some way. And the style
really?
of... Yeah, and this, I didn't bring it up in the episode for some reason. And
Style of singing.
yeah, the singing style, like, mostly it is just Aussie. but you can hear that there's something else going on there. Right, and lots of music has something else going on, so maybe that wouldn't set it aside. Yeah, but were you saying that like the other two albums?
Well, the other two, I mean, T Square, that's just kind of like fusion jazz, but I
Yeah.
think that like the Japanese rock of
ZUTOMAYO,
that's like
distinctly
a
Japanese.
distinctly Japanese sound.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
become almost a genre in itself.
Yes,
Um,
and the same goes for Japanese pop. If you put it next to, I mean, what the fuck does pop mean? If you put it next to our pop, like you can clearly tell.
What's our pop?
The Backstreet Boys? I can't keep up these days. Do people still like Justin Timberlake? I
think the Trolls movie killed him.
think the trolls actually hunted him down and beat him to death with ice picks. I think the pop that is most popular today, at least from what I've seen on Twitter, is K-pop.
Yeah, K-pop I would argue is larger than J-pop.
Yeah.
But they've also got that very... Like, they're very upfront about, hey, this is a business and it's about money. And it's not necessarily, like, here for the music.
They're
not
great
that the
with that.
music's bad, because I think the music's cool. But they're very happily, like, yeah, this is also here to sell merch.
It's
and do
all
this.
bullshit.
to me, though,
Yeah.
K-pop is a little bit more. I don't know what the right word is. Generic in sound, or a little bit more like typical, like globally. It's not like, I don't know, intensely like. Oh, well, it is sort of.
You're really
Very
wanting the
K-pop.
K-pop
Yeah.
stands to come after you, aren't you?
Have you
Yeah.
enjoyed not being cancelled because...
No, but like if you were
love
to
you,
compare
BTS.
it to J-pop, it has a little bit more of a universal sound, right?
You mean it's more accessible?
It's more accessible, and
that's by design.
yeah.
It was made to be exported to the
that's
West.
what I was saying. They're very upfront about those elements of it. It's not like it's some deep hidden thing that we're discovering.
No, I don't think that, but like,
But J-pop probably, at least in the beginning, was made for Japanese consumers.
I don't know.
I'd
but
have
I
to
would
look into
assume
that.
so.
That sounds correct, and none of
Yeah.
you can refute it, so...
it's interesting because there's, as far as I understand, some Western artists that are starting to try and, I'm not going to be able to name them though, imitate the J-pop sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it's the J-pop or the K-pop?
J-pop. They're kind of like the cutesy, like...
Avril Lavigne. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know if I haven't heard
What?
anything new, but I'd say original Avril isn't imitating.
No.
J-pop.
I mean, like when she returned in the late 2000s, maybe even early 2010s, like she had this cutesy, like the Hello Kitty shit.
Oh, that's
I
right.
don't
Yeah.
remember that.
That was...
Do you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that might be an example of...
That would be an example
The
of that.
only one I could think of would be Poppy.
Oh, yeah.
And imitating like the
There's a lot
kawaii.
more going on there as
a
well.
Yeah,
lot
there
more,
is.
but like having the kawaii metal kind of sound.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
also a really interesting
There's
Japanese music
too
we
much-
didn't get to chat about.
There's too much cool music in the world and Japan in particular today. And we should probably talk about the music that we listened to.
As opposed to broad abstract.
Yeah,
That's fine.
K-pop.
Uh,
For example, we need to dig into jazz fusion today. We need
Okay.
to get to the bottom of this, because it
bottom-
sounds to me like you have a relationship with jazz fusion similar to my relationship with punk. At least from what... Because...
No?
No?
no,
What
I
is
think
your-
he's
what is your relationship
flip-floppy. I think he stands
Okay.
jazz fusion so much that he hates things changing.
Yeah.
Or did.
Because
Yeah.
you had a lot of things to say about ZUTOMAYO in relation to jazz fusion.
I just did. Yeah, no, I did. I think. Where do I stand on it?
Because you've listened to it like since then, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, and I kind of don't hate it as much. Still now, I don't know. I think it was like just being so foreign to that sound. I was like, no, I hate it. It's new. It's terrible.
Change.
Get rid of it.
Right, whereas T-Square is so similar to Chick Corea
Yeah.
that it's completely accessible
And just
to
like
you.
Weather Report and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
It's just like so. It's kind of incredible to me how similar T-Square are to, like, Weather Report is actually just
That's what they are.
the end all of that
Yeah.
conversation. And then, I don't know, hearing that sound with like upbeat kind of
Like-
ecstatic, crazy,
Vocals.
Yeah.
vocal. Well, not
The
vocals,
cutesy
no, but,
girl
like,
singing, the
cutesy girl
crazy
singing,
guitar licks.
the crazy guitar
Fucking
licks,
punk
but then
drums and the jazz, like the...
yeah, like I don't know, it's like weird, like disco drums, and like it's very eclectic, and then the vocals are so calming and soothing, and then there's that weird clean piano. I don't know, it's just a weird sound, and I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I guess the difference is that I do get it. Like, it's for me. And, like, it's only for me because I've
But how do
grown up
those
with
two things
I mean, okay,
gel? They just like
jazz fusion, right, is two things that didn't gel, but now they do.
yeah, but
right?
they sound nice.
Yeah, but you've been exposed to it and listened to a lot of it. You've heard one album of this sort of music.
Yeah.
And in the same way that I'm sure there are jazz fusion acts that you dislike, there's probably bands in this genre that you do and like and dislike for certain reasons, and it could be.
I guess
tonal.
But we're going to listen to
Okay.
some Asian Kung Fu Generation after this, and you're going to come around.
So okay, no, I think to try
'Cause
and
you're, like,
and get to the core of this thing, it's like it doesn't necessarily sound like the ZUTOMAYO got influenced by fusion jazz and then developed a sound from influence. It's that they played that music and then they were like, let's create a new fusion with that fusion.
Sure.
Sure, but
And to me, that's a weird. That's a weird thing to hear. Something like the guitar, the bass, and the rhythm section essentially could go back in time and fit perfectly with T-Square.
Yep.
But
Then there's shit hot
vocalist,
guitar
the
licks.
piano, and like there's some like other elements of that couldn't go back at all. Like they would be so alien and
that's
so.
how music progresses, right?
That's what fusion do.
Jazz of the 30s would have had
Well,
elements that you could be.
not always. Sometimes music, like people listen to those bands and then, take that as influence and then use that in a completely new genre. Like, what's a good example? Nirvana got influenced by. No, hang on, that's gonna be terrible. Do you know Henry Rollins? Black
Yes,
Flag.
yeah.
Cool. Like one of his favorite musicians is Miles Davis.
Yep.
And you put those two side by side and they are not like
Right.
you can't necessarily draw that distinction, but Henry Rollins would have pulled a whole bunch of inspiration just in terms of his ideas and where he wanted to push his music from that, right?
But that's slightly.
And then it's kind of
ideas
evolved and changed.
Ideas and what you're actually playing in terms of here's this genre that I play in and I'm developing on that genre are two different things. You know that I love my acoustic guitar, like Andy McKee,
Yeah.
like Mike Dawes, kind of like
When John Mayer does it.
he doesn't really do that kind of stuff. And like I've kind of dabbled in that, but like that's not the main thing that I do. But it doesn't mean it's not in. Like I get what you mean. It's informing my decisions, but I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to play this genre and do something different or that with it. So I don't think, like I think it's related, but I don't think.
Yeah,
that
but it's like, what if you took that acoustic guitar stuff and then you're like, right, let's just do that with full 80s disco beat with the strings and like a fifth of Beethoven.
Oh my god, that takes me back.
And then you were just playing
That's so
that
good.
acoustic guitar like in its unchanged form with that. How
what
does
about it?
how does that evolve
You just
by the
provided an
genre.
example of why that's interesting in Beethoven, in the Fifth of Beethoven.
Oh fuck.
You punked yourself.
Well, look, I'm learning.
The joke's
and
on you.
That's great.
No, that is great. This is what I mean when I say that he has a similar relationship to mine with punk, because once you dig into it,
Yeah.
like the surface opinion is just wrong. Like I do like punk, right?
I mean,
I don't know. It's just I think it's just a weird to take fusion jazz. It's evolved in so many different ways since it kind of first happened. Weather Report's like it's gone out in so many different directions, and it's weird to hear fusion jazz then be fused with really clean poppy vocals and really clean piano, and that's a weird combination for me.
I'm not going to argue that it's not weird, but it doesn't mean that it's not interesting or nice to listen to. Things can be weird and still cool. Like I showed you the Death Heaven, like the black metal mixed with shoegaze.
Yeah, but that was terrible, Jason.
No.
That was nobody
You're so
agrees that
wrong.
that's good.
I mean,
Hey,
you are in the majority there.
Just
But I think it's cool.
Did you say death metal shoegaze?
Like black metal with shoegaze.
that sounds
yeah.
terrible.
Nah, it's cool.
All right, Jason. You can have that one. So back to Japan. How are we gonna... How do we vote for the albums?
Oh, T-Square won.
Did they?
Yeah. If you ask me.
Why did they win?
And
that's
like,
what-
why wouldn't you
I was
ask
gonna say,
me?
That's your
Yeah.
vote.
Why did they win?
I loved it. That's why.
Cool, that's fair enough.
Don't you remember him gushing about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, no, I do actually.
I just had such a great time with it. It was so much fun.
They're really incredible musicians.
I enjoyed all of these albums, to be honest. I wasn't so hot on Ningen Isu when we first listened to it. Like, there was some grating there, like some abrasion from the genre, I think it was. I think I just wasn't expecting to listen to heavy metal that day.
Right, and it's going to give you a bit of whiplash.
Yeah, especially coming from anime rock and jazz fusion. Going straight to, like...
What do you mean? That's just like a regular day listening.
Yeah, the Spotify mix never puts those things together, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like
How are you
Spotify,
using
work on
Spotify?
that.
No, it does. You're just using Spotify, right?
Okay, but I never actually use the mixes. It annoys me. Yeah, it's good. They're all good albums, but T Square was just it was very
It's what
complete
for
for
you.
me. Yeah.
Babes?
I'm sorry, ZUTOMAYO. You didn't win for me.
That's not surprising.
Honestly, I think... Oh, I don't know. Ningen Isu was by far the most surprising and I think interesting for me to listen to. So I think they get my vote. I loved
God.
T-Square and they were incredible musicians, but it was so similar to, like, Weather Report.
And
Well...
why does that?
It was sort of less like, oh, this is new and interesting and
Okay.
bizarre and sort of, I don't know. I already knew that
Yeah, right.
that had sort of happened in Japan, but Ningen Isu was like,
I guess it's also a little incoherent as a compilation album,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
whereas Ningen Isu is, as we discussed, mostly tonally
Consistent.
yeah.
Yeah.
And ZUTOMAYO, like,
Mostly-
absolutely not. We talked about how there was one song that was 6 songs, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, it was mostly tonally consistent.
It was, except for that song, yeah.
song that was 6 songs.
Just take that one out and you have a better album, hey?
Yeah.
We might have our first tie that I guess Dylan breaks, because I think I'm voting for ZUTOMAYO.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Elaborate, please. Dig in.
I've already, pretty acquainted with the whole Ningen Isu thing.
Right, so
And-
for the same reason he...
Yeah, so I wasn't voting for myself.
So,
and then
Beebs
the
beats
jazz
Tim beats Jason.
fusion is another thing that again I'm not super in depth at, but I know exists and it's cool. But jazz fusiony stuff with the anime kind of sound, however you want to phrase that, was oh wow, this is not what I was expecting, and it's cool.
Right,
So
there you go.
All right, Dylan.
Do you remember the album?
Which was the last one?
Ningen Isu.
I like that one the most.
Fuck.
All right, Jason wins. Woo! Congratulations.
We need a new producer. You've
Cool.
either watched too much anime or not enough anime.
So, what are you going to do with that victory, Jason?
Rub it in your face.
Wow.
Starting right now.
Cool. Well,
Great month.
great month.
Yeah.
I think picking as a way to pick music, focusing on Japan was cool.
Yeah. Like, we got a nice slice of different music, and we didn't even begin to, like, cover the breadth of diverse music that the country has to offer. And that's the same for all countries.
How did you go about finding your album?
I asked a Discord server. And, like, I sampled each one. I was like... I got a bunch of kind of generic stuff, but then I got the ZUTOMAYO one. I was like, this is... It does sound like, you know, your anime opening themes, and I like that shit, but it was also... There was, like, more complexity than you'd probably expect listening to, like, the 7 Deadly Sins.
There was
soundtrack
really
or
good
whatever.
music in there. Like,
Yeah.
really, really cool stuff. Yeah.
How about you?
I have known about T-Square for a very long time, but I've never actually sat down and listened to him yet. So I was like, all right,
Cool.
this is my chance.
Nice.
Going in. Yeah.
I came across Ningen Isu in Spotify Discovery.
There you go.
Like a month or two ago, and then like started working my way through their catalog.
So this is before you knew that we were picking this as a theme,
Yeah, I didn't go out of my way to
Really?
find it. It just came up in my recommendeds.
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found a few Japanese punk bands on Spotify Discovery, but I hated it. It was really bad music. I don't think that's like a reflection on Japanese punk. I think it was just I didn't like those
Reflection
bands.
on you.
It was a reflection
Or
on
on
me.
Spotify.
Yeah, fuck you, Spotify.
Yeah, fuck Spotify. That's what you should take away from this month of Vinyl Tap.
Next week, we're listening to What You Don't See by Story So Far.
Click above to find out what else we've spoken about in this theme.
Click below to support the artist that we just listened to.
And make sure to tune in next week for more Vinyl Tap.